you're pursuing a role in leadership, specifically in the fitness industry, this episode is for you. Because today I'm going to be talking about what most people don't talk about in the fitness industry or in most businesses really. And that is the dark side, the downside of leadership and the negative aspects of being in a leadership position. So if you're a trainer, if you're a coach, or if you want to just be in more of a leadership position, I'm going to cover all the things that most people won't tell you about being a leader to help you make the decision if that's the path that you even want to go down. So let's get into it. So the word leader and leadership is highly romanticized in the industry. Everyone talks about having great leadership, being a great leader. And the truth is, it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you're in a leadership position, if you are really operating as a leader. The truth is, leadership is not a natural progression from where most people are in the gym, which is an individual contributor role. If you're a coach, if you're a sales rep, if you're, a marketing assistant or whatever, an individual contributor, you can grow, let's say you're a part-time coach to a full-time coach to, maybe a specialist in that individual. Maybe you're a nutrition specialist. Maybe you're you do assessments or mobility or whatever. Those are all individual contributor roles. The next step, the next logical or natural progression from those roles is not leadership. Leadership is a different skill entirely. So it's almost like if you're a plumber and you go from apprentice to plumber to now you're a master plumber. I don't know much about the trades. Master plumber, and now you want to go into sales manager. It's not a natural progression. In fact, most of the things that make you a great individual contributor, somebody that's really good as a coach, really good at working with clients, and you're the star of the show, is stuff that will make you a bad manager or a bad leader, period. So leadership is not a natural progression. Get that out of your head. Get out any idea that I'm the best coach here. I want to be the GM. Yeah, I want to be the head trainer. That is not a natural progression. It is a completely different skill set. And that's what I want to talk about today. It's a completely different job that has a whole new world of upsides and, most importantly, downsides when you become the boss. And that's what I want to share with you today. If you're staring down the pipe of a promotion into a leadership position, I want you to weigh these options before you take that job. Because here's the truth, and I'm going to be super honest with you. I have put many people, several people, that were amazing coaches, that were really good at their jobs, into positions where they had to be a leader or a manager, and it completely burned them out. And we ended up losing them from the company. Some of it maybe it would have happened by now anyway, but we put people into positions that they had to step into a leadership role without the proper training, without, understanding and having these expectations that I'm going to go over today. And they were not prepared, and it wasn't even a job that they wanted, because it's not what they got into the industry for. It's really important to consider is like, if you love being a coach, you might not love being a leader or manager. And I'm kind of using those words interchangeably today. I know there's a whole thing about leadership versus management. I'm using this as like being in a position of authority and control in a leadership and management role, right? Leadership is a title, I should say. So I've put people in that position, and I've seen how much it can demotivate and burn people out because of how different it is. Again, it's like going from being a plumber to being an astronaut. Right? It's not a progression. It's a different job entirely. All right. So I think there's 5 things that I've identified as like the things that you really need to consider when it comes to, should you accept this leadership position? So point number 1, I kind of touched on it already. Leadership is not a natural progression from your job. Yeah. Is it great to have experience in the role for people that you're leading? Yeah, 100%, but it's not mandatory. I've had some unbelievable people in my company that didn't have fitness experience that turned into great managers. It's not a natural progression. It's a different skill set. So if you're not willing to undergo the work of learning an entirely new trade, an entirely new skill, an entirely new occupation, don't take the job. If you just are happy with your schedule and you're like, yeah, I'll take on some leadership responsibilities, it is not that. So just again, reiterate the point, understand this is not just being a super coach. This is not just being a coach with a little bit more say in how things are done, right? A leader, think of it this way. This is the ultimate statement. Your leadership is defined by how many people you have made into leaders and how many people they have made into leaders. So leaders create leaders, create leaders. That is the ultimate mark of leadership, is how many other leaders you can make. Not the best, because a lot of these head coaches, a lot of the best trainers and best sales reps and best whatever, they like being the best. And there's some ego there. So if you're not willing to make other people as good or better than you, and you're not ready to invest in them to do so, you might not want to be a leader. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to be in a leadership position. And that's another thing that we should talk about is like, you don't have to ascend to leadership. That is not what you have to do to grow in your career. There are ways to grow without being the boss. All right. But if you do, just understand that your success becomes defined by how many other people you make be as good as you were. It is not to be the best anymore. Number 2, you have to make decisions that hurt people you care about. When you're in a leadership position, the buck stops with you. You are in charge of making decisions for the greater good of the company. That probably means you're going to hurt some feelings. It probably means you might have to fire somebody. It might mean you have to fire somebody that you really like, that has been here longer than you, that has been here alongside you the whole time, right? You have to make decisions on coverage. This is one that always been a friction point with our leaders is you have to schedule coverage. Nobody likes the person that tells them they got to work extra. You know, if a trainer is out, they have to manage the schedule and be like, sorry, Sally, you got to work a double shift these 2 days because Billy is out on vacation, right? Nobody likes that because they've been on the other side of that and they're like, it sucked when I was asked to do this and I had to cover for people and blah, 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 right? You got to be the bad guy. You have to make these decisions and the decisions are on you. So you've got to be ready and willing to be the person that makes decisions that affect people potentially negatively. And that's not even to say the membership, right? The members are going to look at you differently when you step into a leadership role, when they know that you're not just like the person that they can shoot the shit with and like you're actually the one with policy power to make policies and charge them money and do all that. It changes the dynamic of what members are doing. So that's number 2 is you have to be somebody that makes decisions that hurt people that you care about potentially. Number 3 is the buck stops with you. There's a million books written about it, but I need to emphasize the point. Extreme ownership is inherent to being a leader, right? When you're an individual contributor and you're a coach, other people can perform badly and it doesn't affect you. When you're the boss, when you're the head trainer, when you're the head coach, when you're the GM, when you're the sales manager, if somebody else runs a bad session, that's on you. And it's very easy to go into the victim mentality or to place blame. That's not leadership behavior. Leadership behavior is to say every single thing that happens in this sphere of influence is on me. And there's no other excuse other than I did not lead well, I didn't provide clarity, or I put the wrong person in the position that shouldn't be there and I need to fire them. I think this is the hardest thing for most people, new leaders to grasp, because they come from this individual contributor world where their immediate thing is like, well, and again, this word for word is come out of people's mouths that I've worked with. Well, I don't know how I could change that. I don't know how I could have changed the fact that they showed up late. I don't know how I could have changed their quality as a coach. If that's where your head is at, you shouldn't be a leader, because 100% of what happens in your sphere is your responsibility. And here's how this shows up. Most gyms are probably not bringing on a GM. I think a lot of founders are kind of in that GM operations, head role, but they do bring on a head coach, or they do elevate a head coach. And I think this is where a lot of leadership stuff gets loosely defined. When we elevated a head coach, the first time we did it, there was not an understanding the understanding was that they're just the best coach and they maybe write the workouts on the board. But a true head coach that is a leader is responsible for the quality of all the other coaches. So is responsible for the experience of all members. They are responsible for how good every other coach is. A head coach is defined by how many other coaches could be the best coach, or how many other coaches are as good as they were. And this is really, really hard because it's a different skill set. So if you're thinking of ascending into a head coach position, you need to be ready to say, my job is not to be the best. That's what got me here. Now my job is to make other people the best coach in the company, right? And I say in all roles, as a leader, your job is to lead yourself out of the role, because you've got people that are as good as you in that role and could succeed you in that. So that gives you something else to do. I honestly think there's some deeper subconscious scarcity mindset, and that holds a lot of leaders back, where they become afraid to lead other people well, because there's a fear that if somebody else gets too good, maybe they'll take their job. And that's a real thing, that when you step into a leadership role, you've got to have an abundance mindset and say, if I make these two coaches below me as good as me, there's something else for me. There's going to be another position, because if these two are good, the business is going to grow. And then maybe there's another facility, maybe there's another role that I could take on. But you've got to come to that mature realization that your job is not to be the best. And your job is to own every single thing that is in your sphere of influence. So again, if you're the head coach and you don't work one morning and there's a bad experience from a member, that is on you. Even if there's other reasons, even if, whatever, you didn't train, hold somebody to a high enough standard, or you're having somebody in a position that shouldn't be there and you got to fire them. Point number 4 about the downside of leadership is you are going to have to make decisions that will not fully be understood. So one of the biggest challenges that we face is we have a leadership team, and then we have the rest of the coaches that don't necessarily need to be a part of those leadership team discussions. And one of the big friction points that we've had over the years is the decisions that get made in those leadership team meetings being brought to the rest of the team without all the context, where they weren't there for the full discussion, when they weren't there for the pros and cons and, hashing it out in those meetings. And when we bring it to the team, they might not fully understand, and they're asked to do it, and they may be upset by that. If we have to do a price raise on members because we showed the numbers of the leadership team and we did all this, we tell the coaches, hey, we got to charge everybody $20 more per month. They may think we're just whatever, money hungry, greedy, whatever. And you know what? As a leader, you're not going to have time to explain every decision that you make. And again, this is, similar to having to make decisions that hurt other people. You're going to have to make decisions that you can't always justify because you don't have time. And it's a hard part of the job. It's a very difficult part of the job that hurts a lot of people to be in that position. And again, if you step into a leadership role, you've got to be ready to be that guy or girl, to be the person that is ready to make decisions. I call it Thick Face, Black Heart. One of my favorite books was called Thick Face, Black Heart, and be thick-skinned and black-hearted when it comes to ruthless business decisions that need to be made for the greater good. So point number 4 is you have to be ready to make decisions that you can't sit and justify and over-explain and get buy-in from everybody around. You've got to make decisions that are best for the greater good, and you've got to be ready for the blowback. The final thing that I think is probably the most important thing for you to consider, if you're looking at a leadership role, you want to ascend into a GM, head trainer, sales manager, whatever position is available to you, I can't emphasize the importance of this that I want you to reflect on. The pay will never outweigh the work that you're going to be doing, especially in a gym. there is not a bonus, there's not a promotion amount in the gym environment that is going to pay you the effective hourly rate that is the same as the work you're currently doing. What I mean by that is if you're getting paid $25 an hour as a coach and stepping into this GM role is effectively going to give you $1,000 a month increase, the amount of work, especially in the beginning, when you're having to learn how to be a leader and do all this, learn the skills, basically go to leadership school, read all the books, all of the books, all of the stress, all of the mentorship, all of the hours laying awake at night with all these fears and all these anxieties and all these worries that I just outlined, because you have to make a decision that hurts one of your friends as a coworker. You've got to make decisions that you can't explain to other people, and you're going to face a shit ton of blowback. That you are responsible for a team of 6 other people and you have no fucking clue how to do it. So you have to map out education plans. You have to talk about hiring a new coach because you got to fire somebody. All of those hours of you laying in bed, staring up at the ceiling, is going to add dozens and dozens and dozens of hours thinking about work, working on the work, that turns the $1,000 a month bonus to you're making $1 an hour because of how much extra work you're having to undertake just to be in this role. So I hope I've scared you from taking this job for the money. You should not take a leadership role for the money in the fitness industry. Now, if you're working at fucking Amazon or Costco and you step into a role, yeah, they're going to pay you a lot more money. But if you're a part of a boutique gym, the pay raises just aren't there. They do not exist, right? The gap between your highest paid leader and a full-time head coach is not a lot, typically. So the truth is, the people that should take a leadership role are not ones that want to make extra money. They think this is going to be great for their income. This is going to be terrible for your income because you're going to be feeling like you're working a hell of a lot more because you don't know how to do the job and you got to learn how to do the job. So I would say, just a caveat to this, over time, the pay will pay for itself. The effective hourly rate will equal out. In the first year in a leadership position where you're experiencing everything for the first time, every seasonality change, every employee turnover, every price increase, everything, it will be a disaster for your work-life balance because you're going to have to do a lot more work and you're not going to be paid for every hour that you spend working on the work. After about a year, yeah, once you get the hang of things in about a year, you're going to be working a lot less. You're going to be worrying about the work a lot less, and the pay will make sense. But I say this to emphasize the point that in the fitness industry and the gym industry, do not take this promotion because of the income, because it will not pay itself off, period. It just will not. You'll be too stressed and have too much work on your plate and worry. I shouldn't say work. I should say worry about the work, because that's truly what is the staring at the ceiling at night, wondering if you did the right thing, wondering how you're going to do this, thinking about how you're going to have that hard conversation. That is the work that comes with being a new leader. All right. So if it is just to pad your pockets and earn an extra, whatever, $10,000 a year, do not do it. The people that should step into leadership roles are ones that have an inherent drive to be a leader. They want to be in charge. They want to help others. They have a desire, a deep, burning desire to lead others. That is the only person that should be in a leadership role. Because when you have a deep, burning, intrinsic desire, the work becomes fun. The process becomes fun. You want to lead others. You want to have those hard conversations. You want to face those challenges, right? You are excited about them. And that's something that's in some people's DNA and it's not in others. All right. So my hope with this episode is to detail what most people don't talk about, because they talk about like leadership is this like great thing. You can just be a leadership role. You should strive for promotions in leadership. You should manage other people. And I've seen it enough times in my own business and a lot of others that some people, it's just not what they want. And I think everyone can be. I believe in unlimited human potential. I believe anybody can become a leader. Anybody can learn these skills. Some people do not want that for themselves. And it's only when they get into these positions because they're sold a bill of goods that it's this great life and they have this work-life balance and, you know, they can delegate all this work, that they get in there and they're like, holy smokes, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I thought it was going to be. So I want you to keep all of that in mind. Leadership is a totally different job than what you are currently doing. So if you want that job, go for it. But if you just want to make more doing what you're doing, there's other ways to do that. So I hope this helps, and make sure you like and subscribe.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this content, make sure that you like and subscribe to get more of the content that you want to see about growing your fitness business. You can click any of the videos here to see other episodes, but I want to hear from you. So drop some comments into other content that you would like to see.